Hi, I'm Dave from boyinaband.com, and welcome to day 2 of the 7-day song on Jump Up Drum and Bass that's a collaboration with the frickin' talented Noise Storm. Yesterday we nailed the drums, and today we'll construct ourselves an awesome bass synth to accompany them so we don't get made fun of when we call the song drum and bass, and it'll sound something like this. If you're looking for dirtier jump up drum and bass, I've made tons of other tutorials you might like to check out, like the ones from the Bassline 7-day song or from the Darkstep one, either of which would suit the stabby, dirtier vibe of older jump up. Once again, I'll channel Noise Storm's spirit to explain how to make the bass, and once again I'll ask you not to question how you can channel the spirit of someone who is alive. This totally is not an obscure method of me avoiding having to change Noise Storm's written notes into the third person. Here we go. Okay, let's get to it. Firstly, it's important to mention that while the bass may seem like one of the most important elements in a jump-up track, I feel that it's more the bass combined with the pads and other elements that will really bring the low end of the track together. Never judge a sound on what it sounds like singled out, always test it in the mix, as a lot of the time it can sound much better and can give the illusion that it's a much bigger sound when it isn't. So, onto the patch. This is quite complex, but once again feel free to save it and you can use it again and tweak it in other songs. We're going to start by creating a combinator, naming it Tasty Bass because it's delicious, and inside it we're going to make a line mixer 6:2. Next, create a maelstrom underneath it and initialize the patch. I'll put in some notes now. Okay, so the notes are in and it's soloed out, and I'll get Dave to explain about these notes in day 6. So let's head back to maelstrom and get making this synth, because this doesn't sound particularly spectacular. So, select 2 sawtooth 16 waves, turn on oscillator B, and set the octaves to 2 and 3. And this gives a nice deep and thick sound. Next, we're going to move the scent knobs here and here, left and right as it's playing, just to show you how it thickens up the sound. Just by detuning the synth a bit. Underneath the maelstrom, we're going to right-click and create Scream for Distortion. Now we're going to turn off the cut and body modes. We're going to take the damage down to about 30. And turn it to tube mode. Taking the P1 and P2 knobs all the way up to full. And take a listen without and with. Just adds a bit more high end to it. Finally, we're going to right click, create M-Class Equalizer, and right click, create M-Class Compressor. For the EQ, hit the low cut, just to cut any frequencies that could affect the sub-bass. And also in param 1, we're going to take gain right down at about 275-ish hertz. Take a listen without that cut, and with it. This takes out some of the muddiness of the sound, and since this area is where the kick and snare hit, it makes them sit together nicely. Then on the compressor, we're going to turn the input gain up a bit, and take that threshold down with the ratio on infinity, just to really squash it. Attack and release completely on 0. We'll be sidechaining this later, so it might sound a bit quiet until we do that. Next up, we're going to duplicate the maelstrom, EQ, compressor, and scream, and link them up to the same compressor. Hit tap to look at the back, and link up from the main output to scream, from scream to EQ, EQ to the compressor, and from the compressor into the spare channel in the mixer. If we go to the maelstrom, we're going to change some of these wave tables, or grain tables as they call in maelstrom. We're going to take the first one to sawtooth, so take it up just the one, and the second wave to PWM. So let's solo it out and take a listen to what that sounds like. And with both of them starting to get nice and thick, we're going to take the damage up a bit and onto warp mode, which really brings out a sharpness in the tone of the bass. So that's the top of the bass. Finally, we're going to make a sub bass to go under the high and mid bass. So create a Thor under the previous device, right click, Thor polysonic synthesizer, initialize it, and open it up and create 3 analog oscillators with octaves on 1, 2, and 3, and set them all to sine wave for a 3-octave spread of the sine wave. Run them through with these 2 and 3 buttons here as well. And make sure to bring up the amp envelope attack a little bit as well, because if we solo it out, you can hear there's a slight click. If we bring it up just that bit to about 40 milliseconds, that's removed. Just bring the sustain up to full as well, so it doesn't lose any volume over time. Underneath this, we're going to right click and create an M-class maximizer. And we're just going to boost the volume by turning off the limiter, bringing the input gain up a few decibels, and turning on soft clip to full, just to give it that pleasant warmth. Lastly, we're going to add a compressor under that, using the same settings as the other compressors. And phew, we're finally done with this bass patch. I'm going to leave you with Dave to finish off by explaining the sidechaining. Thanks, Noise Storm. Now comes the part that will really make people jump up, the sidechain compression, which will help us achieve a rhythmic pumping effect on the bass. Now, if we go up to the drums again, and open up that combinator, you'll notice there were a few samples we didn't touch on. Now, this one here will be for an automated fill later on, but the kick in channel 10, we're going to use purely for sidechain compressing the elements of the track. So first thing we're going to do is right click and create a Spider Audio merger and splitter. And hit tab, and we're going to link channel 10. We're going to take it out of the mixer and put it into the input of the splitter on the Spider Audio merger and splitter. Now we're going to link this to the sidechain in on each compressor. So we're going to scroll all the way down, find the first compressor, sidechain in. Now if I do this to the other two, and we scroll down and unsolo our sub bass, let's take a listen to how the bass sounds. Let's unsolo the bass and take a listen to how it sounds if we just solo out that one drum that's causing the sidechaining. Can you hear that? The threshold determines how much pumping is going on, so if we brought it all the way down, we'd get a much more defined pumping sound, but let's just bring that back, because I kind of like it where it was, around that 24 decibel mark. So let's have a listen. Frickin' sweet. And with the beat, frickin' sweeter. So, there we have it. A bass synth more harsh and pumping than laughing at a dehydrated child desperately trying to get the last drops of nourishment from the long dried up village water supply. Join me tomorrow on day 3, where we'll start looking at the pads that will really fill out this track, and just so you don't feel too harsh, the aforementioned fictional child's water supply as well. See ya!